めよう。やや、こんにちは、こんばんは、猫だよ。今日はスタンリーパラブルをやっていきたいと思います。ぜひ最後までご覧ください。どうぞ。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, every month, of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-crushing, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for his job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
これ始まってる？始まってるかわかんないよね。この人絶対仕事できない人だと思うんだ。本当にできないと思うんだ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
会議室に行けって。どこよ会議室。なんでさ、みんな番号振られてんの？一人一部屋。贅沢だな。ここは部屋ないか。会議、あ、パソコンついてるよ。消した。消しちゃった。
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
あ、猫は今ナレーションに背いたのね。会議室はどこですか？コーヒーこぼれてるよ。会議室どこですか？
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
ナレーションにまずは従うか。あんまり大きな声出さないで。マイクに入っちゃう。ここかな、会議室。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
ボスのオフィスに行けだって。とりあえず今回のナレーションに全部従うよ。適当に歩くか。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
上の階ね。 もっと上？エクセクティブバスルーム。トイレ。ボスの部屋はどこですか？こっちか。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845押せばいいのね。2、8、5、4。
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
どこのことこれじゃないの？座って親指を動かした。親指。
2845.
2845押して。2間違えた。
Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood forgot. But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
やったね。この人、ナレーターが勝手に開けてくれたよ。した怖っ。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
降りていいの？うわぁ。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
まっすぐ進みました。ここに行きたい。いや、ナレーター通りに進む。はい。来たよ。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
はい、それでナレーターさん、これか？
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Nothing. スタンリーの番号だ。714だっけ ?715 だっけ ?725 だっけ ?725? 427 4あらら4でももう誰もいない427あったあスタンリーの部屋だ誰もいないファイヤードって首かな なんか数字が見れない。ナンバーが、エンプロイ番号が見れない人がいる。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
これ字幕読むのに必死なんだけど、消えるの早すぎ。
Here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
取り壊す。コントロール取り壊す。マインドコントロールスタート。オフライン。オフライン。どこ行けばいいの ?3。ナレーターさん何か指示を。スタンリーと一緒やないかい。猫もスタンリーと一緒なるほど。マインドコントロールアイドルアワイティングインプット。ナレーター通りに従ったらこれ本当に猫はスタンリーと全く一緒だね。
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
システムパワーオフにしたらいいのかな。これがナレーターさんの意思でしょう。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
スタンリーは自由だ。
And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
急に10になってもスタンリーは何もできないと思うんだけど。何も本当に解決してないし。わーい、外に出
Stanley
た。
felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
本当に幸せかお前は。いいな。 何 ?1 個終わったよ。1回クリアしたよ。どうしたらいい？オッケー、じゃあやりたいようにやるね。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
じゃあ会議室に行かない。
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
会議室に行けって言ってさっきはそれにしたかったから、まずは会議室に行かないという。でもどこ
Stanley
も
went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
絶対に物語を進行させてくれないようだ。何も開かないし。みんなどこに行ったんだろうね。ナレーターに背けばわかるのかな。インプットレシーブド。はあ、机の上に立ってしまった。あ、しゃがめる。しゃがめるだと。この封筒とか取れないのかな。この部屋入りたい。さっきのコーヒーがこぼれてるところ。会議室に行くまでどっかの部屋空いてたりしないの？そう。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Oh.
he entered the door on his left.
さっきは左に入った。じゃあ右に入りましょう。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
ちょっと休憩室を満喫したかった？猫はそんなこと思っていないぞ。猫はスタンリーじゃないからね。あなたの思い通りにいかないわ。ほんと誰もいない。ここが休憩室。
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
何かヒントを。
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
なんもねえな。
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
左側の一つ目の空いてるドア。やだ、入りたくない。 猫は極力すべて反対の選択肢に行こうと思います。だからここには入りません。正面に入ります。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
一回入ったら開かないのね。Do not lie. If you are 読めません。なんで全部閉まっていくの？怖いんだけど。$1？$5？
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
最後までご視聴ありがとうございました。また次回の動画でお会いしましょう。またねー。